A lady sits texting someone in a classroom. Once the class is out, she walks quite a distance. On her way, she rips off a phone number from a notice board that could get her to Delaware. The lady comes to a man sleeping in his car. She knocks on the window to wake him up, and he lets her place her luggage in his loaded trunk. He is her lift to Delaware. While they ride, the lady talks on her phone most of the time. The man is seemingly bothered by it. He wants them to speak to each other as they ride the distance, so they start talking. He tells her they had a philosophy class together. They quickly get on the subject of Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence. He tells her the difference between that and reincarnation. We see a later hour. They soon stop at a gas station. The lady wants to use the restroom, but can't exit the car because the paint on her toenails is dry. So he carries her inside, where she finds her way into the room. After using it, she struggles to exit the restroom. She even has to yell for help. However, no one comes to her. After a few more attempts, she somehow gets the door to open. While walking out, she looks at some of the people sitting there with disappointment. They were somewhat near the restroom where they should have heard her yells, yet none of them did anything. The lady comes to her driver to mention the yells she made. He tells her he didn't hear anything. She does not believe him, but he insists he's telling the truth. Forgetting about it, she wants to split the payment for the gas, although he tells her he does not take money from friends. Afterward, they continue to ride, and the man takes a scenic detour. The girl is troubled by this, wanting him to return to the highway. He tries to reassure her by saying it's a shortcut. They will be back on the highway soon. While they ride along the detour, the duo talks about Christmas while listening to Christmas music. The topic soon turns into places from Delaware. He makes a few mistakes as they talk about it, which allows her to catch him in a possible lie. The lady accuses him of not being from Delaware at all. She gives him attitude for it, and he says he can explain himself. However, an oncoming vehicle prevents him from doing that. The girl yells that he should pull over, but the large amounts of snow do not allow for that possibility, so he swerves to the side, getting them into a crash. At a later hour, the lady regains consciousness. She looks at the driver, who is still not awake. Then she exits the car to call someone. While she's trying to do that, the man comes behind her to ask what she's doing. She was trying to call 911, yet there is no signal. They believe the oncoming car fled the scene without checking on them. He asks her where the vehicle's tire tracks are. She looks to see there are no tracks in the distance. They just disappear several feet ahead of her. After that, the man yells if anyone is out there, though he gets no response. Their next action is to try moving the car. She tries driving while he pushes from the back. Yet their endeavor proves to be fruitless. When the guy tries getting inside, he cannot because she locks the door. They get into an argument because of the situation he put them into. She even thinks that he may have set it up. She also lets him know she left a message for her friend while he was unconscious. The friend may have called the police by now. What he wants to do is go back to the gas station and recommends that she goes with him. However, she decides to stay while he walks. Once she is alone, she looks through his belongings. The lady discovers some duct tape, which she uses to cover the openings in the window. During that time, she sees someone walking nearby. That prompts her to exit the car to ask the individual for help. But he does not pay her any attention, he just keeps walking. Shortly after, her driver surprises her from behind. She informs him about the guy, though he is no longer there. What comes next is her asking him why he returned so fast. The man tells her the gas station was closed, and she tells him stores like that are supposed to be open 24 hours a day. He doesn't know why that turned out to be the case. At that point, he just wants to sit in the car. The girl, however, does not want to get in with him. Since it's very cold outside, she has no choice except to join him. In there, she informs him that his head is bleeding. That opens the door to another topic, him telling her how to damage someone if she ever gets into a bar fight. Then she asks him where he's from, and he tells her it's not Delaware. The lady wants to know why he lied to her. His reason is that he liked her, so he wanted to drive with her for hours. That brings her to question how he knew she wanted to ride there, because she always flies instead. At that moment, we observe a flashback of him sitting behind her in a classroom while seeing her text message. In it, she supposedly mentioned her plan to someone. Following that, he placed his information on the notice board. He assures her he would have told her about that later, if they ever got together. That would have been a funny story for them to have. Afterward, the man wants to take out his food, but she disappoints him by saying she left it outside. So he searches the car for a candy bar he knows he lost there. As he searches, he starts screaming in fear. It is quickly revealed to be a joke, which the lady does not find entertaining. Once he locates the candy, they share it. Subsequently, the duo discovers the car has a gas leak. Now they are even more stranded. Due to the severe cold, the man takes out some extra clothes for them to wear. The girl leaves the car soon after, because she has to use the toilet. When she finishes, she becomes scared, observing several people passing by. One of them turns to look at her with a chilling face before turning back to continue walking. She yells, causing her driver to come out. She tells him about them and where they went, so they both go looking for them. This time, the man spots them. After following them, the girl tells him they should return to the vehicle, because the way the stranger looked at her tells her they are untrustworthy. That leads him to send her back to the car while he looks around. Soon enough, he discovers a destroyed house. After he enters it, we see someone move across. The man finds a necklace, along with someone's hands buried beneath the snow. It scares him to move back. Continuing his exploration, he sees a frozen head. It scares him away even more, and we observe the frozen body move. Meanwhile, the girl sees someone walking again. She comes out to talk with the individual, though he does not turn around. When she comes close to him, she witnesses he has metal tied to his lower legs. She has to touch him to make him turn around. He terrifies her with his deformed face. To make matters worse, an eel exits his mouth. This causes the lady to walk away in fearful disbelief. As she does, she encounters two bloodied guys standing. At that point, she screams for her partner to hear, so he comes to her. She cries to him about what she saw, and he takes her back to the car. In there, they use a paper he found to better cover the window. Shortly after, the girl settles into his arms. At a later hour, a policeman comes to them. They are excited to see him and attempt to explain their unfortunate situation, but all he says is there is no parking there. He will let them go with a warning if they can do something for him, which he does not specify. So the girl comes out to talk to the officer. He starts describing the bad nature of the road they're on, before telling her to get in his car. However, she does not want to do it. That prompts the policeman to yell at her. Afterward, he turns around to see one of the passing people looking at them. The officer turns back to pressure her into getting inside his car. While walking toward her, the man comes behind the policeman to strike him with a stick. That creates a distortion, which teleports them back into their vehicle. In there, they notice the man's hand is stuck to the stick. Separating the two brings him a large amount of pain. The lady tells him he has frostbite, so she helps by placing his hand on her stomach to warm it. They wonder what happened to them just now, but do not acquire an understanding. She wants to get through this situation, and he tries calming her by saying it's almost dawn. Soon he says his hands are starting to burn. The lady has some Tylenol, which she looks for. After giving it to him, she starts reading the paper they have placed on the window. It states that priests came by to administer last rites to a pair of people on the route they're currently stranded on. The priests were also unable to save a highway patrolman who was part of the accident. That article was from 1953. Following that, the girl tells him she will watch while he sleeps. At a later hour, she awakens. Suddenly, the radio turns on, only to turn off in a few seconds. Then something more bizarre takes place. Someone breaks through the window to start pulling the lady out. The scene instantly shifts to a policeman taking out a lady from her car in the daytime. It is the one they encountered. While he holds the lady down, he turns around to witness the priest standing in the woods, looking his way. So he places the lady inside his vehicle. At that point, the man wakes up to see his partner is having a nightmare. He tries to wake her, and gets startled by the radio turning on. A police siren also becomes visible nearby, while the interior of his car starts freezing. The girl dreams more of what happened. We see the policeman dragging the lady into the woods while she's unconscious. When he drops her on the ground, the girl wakes up in the car. Shortly after, the vehicle starts shaking. They don't know what to do, but it stops soon. Later, we see that it's almost 5 a.m. The duo converses, mostly about her. She finds a bottle that contains his blood. That prompts her to ask how badly he was hurt in the crash. He informs her he noticed he was spitting blood while walking to the gas station. That forced him to turn back before he ever got there. She questions why he didn't tell her. It's because he did not want her to be afraid. He also has been thinking about eternal recurrence. It wouldn't be so bad to repeat his life indefinitely. The lady asks him if he even thinks that way about the last 24 hours. He answers that he would even agree to repeat them too. She would do things differently. At that moment, he adjusts his statement to include the part where he would start talking to her after class. The lady wants him to do that, and starts kissing him. After that, she wants to use her idea to combine his landline with the utility pole to call for help. While she runs to the pole, we see one of the priests standing in the distance. She climbs the utility pole and uses scissors to open the panel. However, she drops them immediately after. Regardless of that, she takes out the landline to connect it to the panel. It starts working, so she calls 911, telling the operator where they are. But the connection goes bad, making her climb back down. At ground level, she encounters a lady who looks like the one the officer dragged into the woods in 1953. What follows is the girl running back into the car, where she tells her friend that she thinks she got through on the phone call. But he is not awake. She tries waking him, though he stays asleep. In the morning, she pulls him out of the car. That is when she witnesses a vehicle driving along. The driver stops for her to help load her friend into his truck. On his radio, he states one did not make it, and he's taking the girl to the hospital. While they ride, he tells her that many accidents on this road started in the 50s. There was a bad policeman who used to stop people. One night, he was drunk, which brought his demise along with some kids. The girl asks her driver about the priests. He tells her they were found frozen in their beds in 1961. As they keep driving, a vehicle comes at them. They have to swerve to avoid it, but they get into an accident. The man gets out of his truck to check on the other driver. Though when the girl comes out, much to her astonishment, she discovers they are in the same area where she was stranded. Their car is there, along with the telephone hanging from the pole. Following that, she goes down with the driver to tell him the officer who crashed is lifeless. While they descend, they stop to turn around, seeing the group of priests standing there. One of them takes the officer's radio away and starts walking away with it. The policeman, who is alive, yells that mercy should be granted to him. Then he yells they will never get rid of him. As the car burns, he comes out to take hold of the girl's new driver. The man freezes soon after. while the officer is simply no longer there. The girl gets into his truck, trying to start the engine. Meanwhile, the policeman comes to her near the window. He reaches for her, but her friend appears to strike the officer just like he did before. Reality distorts again, bringing the girl back into the car with her partner. That causes her to scream in agony. Some semblance of hope arrives when she witnesses a person walking along. She comes out to see that it's her friend. He tells her he would have told her everything eventually. He follows those words by walking into the woods, where she follows him. The lady walks quite a distance until she arrives at the gas station. We soon see her get tended to by firemen. While she sits there, she takes out her phone to look at the picture she took of her partner, and it brings her to tears.